Hey, this review's late, for various reasons I won't go into, but hey, it's me, I'm reviewing Knives Out 3, Wake Up Dead Man, woohoo. I liked the first two. I thought the second one was Glass Onions the best because it had the best cast and best play and was fun and kind of kooky and appealed more to my sensibilities. But Rian Johnson's best movie of this franchise, trilogy, ongoing series, whatever, makes slightly different murder mystery every time. First one was a bit more gothic, a bit more about families and immigration and the way that rich people treat comparatively poor people. Second one was about how awful tech bros are, and this one's about how awful seemingly charismatic people who talk down people, talk nonsense, lie, grift, and manipulate getting power. So quite an apt movie in that regard. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I did. It's not as good as the other ones. It's too long. Basic gist of plot, isn't it? It's loosely inspired by actual murder mystery books. The Hollow Man, for example, which I thought was just a strange Paul Verhoeven movie, but apparently it's a book. So if you read those books, you'll know what mysteries already, but it's quite a good movie. Josh O'Connor's really good in the main role. I think my own real downside movie is that obviously Daniel Craig shows up way too late into it. I get that he's a supporting character in these movies. To a large extent, these aren't real. The whole thing of Knives Out is like a bit bottom isn't really true. Even called these Benoit Blanc mysteries, he's not the main character because I think the whole point of Benoit Blanc is he's not a character who changes very much. In any of the movies, he stays static and things change around him. So Rian Johnson clearly feels like he needs a more consistent main character who has the ability to change and adapt and mold. Benoit Blanc doesn't really. I mean, it's still a great performance, but I think the best performances in in all three movies, they're the lead performances by, the actresses in Knives Out and Glass Onion, who both done an amazing job playing multifaceted characters, particularly in Glass Onion, where it's like the amazing reveal. I think by this point, if you haven't seen Glass Onion, why are you watching this movie? I know it's not technically a trilogy end or anything like that, but it's clearly based off the events of that, at least in terms of where Benoit Blanc comes from. So you should really watch that because it's a goddamn great movie. And I think reason why I don't warm to this one quite so much is one, it's too long. That's not necessarily a problem, but in this case it is because it's too long and it sort of meanders quite a bit. There's a lot of setup early on, which feels strange compared to the other ones because in those ones we got a lot of the backstory afterwards. This one plays with themes by having the start of the movie basically be comprised of a letter that Father Judd is writing. So he's filling us in on all of this backstory, but it feels like maybe it would have been better to be a bit more linear. Although I think Rian Johnson wanted to play of that sort of brick-style timeline wildness, which is okay. I mean, Pennywise did that recently too. I mean, it just feels a bit of a slog, really. But then it does have an amazing sequence where Father Joe takes a phone call and it just becomes an insanely brilliantly written movie for just a few minutes. I think the fundamental problem I have with Knives Out movies are I enjoyed them. I really enjoyed the second one, but they're not as good as something like Brick. And I think the reason is because they're playing up the archetypes. They're deliberately intending to be a bit more Agatha Christie, in terms of just good romps, where something like Brick was just a really, 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 really great movie. And these feel very entertaining, but they have some measure to them of quality. I mean, obviously that scene I just talked about, and you'll get off bits where it seems like, Rian Johnson's not necessarily committing to making these art. I mean, I know all cinema is art, but you know what I mean, where it's like that level from you made something very good to you've made something like Heat or Godfather, where it's like a mainstream pop culture movie, but it's also elevated beyond that. I don't think it's quite gets there. The supporting cast is wasted too, which is a shame. But overall, it's a very good movie. Not as good as the others. Certainly not as good as the second one, because it's kind of a bit clunky near the end. And supporting cast is really wasted. I mean, they have some incredible actors in here. And some of them don't really get much to do. And I think reason for that is because when you had like Glass Onion, all of the character stuff built gradually, and you think you knew these characters before Benoit Blanc showed up. This movie, you don't feel like you know particularly many of them till after moving. It's weird that the movie's so long but spends so little time for those characters, because it focuses entirely on Father Judd, who, don't get me wrong, Joshua Connor's great, but maybe a bit too much, maybe a bit of an imbalance. I don't know, he fits that without making the movie even longer, but there you go. Good movie. I don't know if you care about my review, because it's been out a week on Netflix and Aeons in cinema, but hey, there's my review anyway. I'll be back soon with something. Okay, bye.